I'm Alexandra 30, senior graphic designer in Los Angeles, when the text detonated everything. Connor, no room for New Year's at Aspen. I answered with 2 letters, okay. 60 minutes later, Mom dropped the nuke on Facebook's 7 smug faces plus our Labrador Max hogging the Colorado fireplace. Caption, our perfect pack for New Year's. The empty cushion screamed louder than any scream. Hearts flooded in from relatives who skipped my graduation, each like a razor flick. Connor slid into the comments, don't overreact. Too late, the spark already raced the wire. If your sibling ever locked you out of the family countdown with one brutal line, smash subscribe, this explosion just ignited. That single text wasn't the first time they shut the door on me. When I turned 16, the pattern locked in. Every New Year's, my parents planned blowout trips and left me behind. First came the Caribbean cruise. Mom said the ship was full with cousins. Next, Vegas for Connor's 18th. Dad claimed hotel suites maxed out at 8 people. Hawaii followed 2 years later, then a ski lodge in Park City, a condo in Miami, another cruise to Alaska. 14 straight years, same excuse, no extra bed, no budget for one more ticket. I stopped asking after the 10th rejection and started saving my own money instead. Keith stepped in when I hit 18. My uncle Keith, Dad's younger brother, lived an hour north in Santa Clarita with his wife Lisa and their daughter Riley. Every Sunday he fired up the grill in their backyard, ribs slow-cooked over mesquite corn on the cob charred just right. Lisa mixed lemonade from scratch, while Riley chased their old beagle around the patio chairs. Keith never announced the invites. He just texted, Saturday night BBQ tomorrow. Bring nothing. I showed up every week for 4 years straight. Those afternoons became my reset button, laughing over burnt marshmallows, listening to Keith's stories about fixing motorcycles in the 80s. Lisa taught me how to flip burgers without drying them out, and Riley begged me to push her on the tire swing until sunset. College graduation hit when I was 22. I walked across the stage in a black cap and gown, scanning the crowd for familiar faces. Empty seats stared back where Mom and Dad should have been. Turns out they flew to Denver that weekend for Connor's 21st birthday bash, complete with a rented party bus and open bar. Valerie sent me a selfie from the rooftop lounge, Connor grinning with a beer in each hand. I refreshed my phone for hours, waiting for a congrats text that never came. Keith showed up anyway. He pulled into the campus parking lot in his beat-up Ford pickup 3 hours on the freeway from home. In the passenger seat sat a bouquet of sunflowers wrapped in brown paper and a homemade chocolate cake balanced on Lisa's lap. Riley bounced out first, waving a hand-painted sign, Big Sis graduated. Keith clapped louder than anyone when my name echoed over the speakers. He hugged me so tight the tassel on my cap got tangled in his beard. Lisa snapped photos on her old flip phone, tears smudging her mascara. After the ceremony, we drove to a diner off the 405. Keith insisted on buying milkshakes to celebrate. Riley smeared whipped cream on my nose and declared it official grad makeup. On the ride home, Keith kept one hand on the wheel, the other drumming the dashboard to classic rock. He didn't mention Mom or Dad once, didn't ask why they bailed. He just said, proud of you, kid. Always will be. That cake tasted better than any 5-star restaurant dessert I've had since. My bonus dropped the week before Christmas, a clean $25,000 wired straight from the agency after landing a major tech client. I stared at the deposit notification during lunch, fork halfway to my mouth, and decided right then no more watching from the sidelines. I opened the booking app and hunted luxury listings in Big Bear Lake. One cabin stood out, a 4-bedroom timber frame beast perched ski in ski out on the south slope. 8 nights over New Year's, private chef on call, outdoor hot tub bubbling under string lights, and a rooftop deck rigged for a midnight countdown with private fireworks. The photos showed floor-to-ceiling windows framing snow-dusted pines and a stone fireplace big enough to roast a turkey. I clicked reserve before doubt crept in, heart racing like I'd just closed a pitch. 3 weeks earlier, I'd dialed Keith from my office parking garage. Clear your calendar for New Year's week, no questions. He paused mid-sentence about carburetor parts, then laughed. Lisa's already packing Riley's snow boots. We're in. I didn't spill details, just sent the confirmation email with the cabin link. Lisa replied with a string of heart emojis and a voice note. You're spoiling us rotten. The morning of departure, I picked them up at dawn. Keith loaded duffels into my SUV while Lisa buckled Riley into the booster. LAX buzzed with holiday chaos, families hauling wrapping paper tubes, kids in reindeer antlers. I handed over the boarding passes at the curb drop-off. Riley snatched hers first, eyes widening at the gold first-class stamp. She squealed loud enough to turn heads, jumping in place until her mittens flew off. We're sitting up front, like movie stars. Keith ruffled her hair and shot me a grin over the rooftop. Inside the terminal, Lisa kept glancing at the passes, fingers tracing the airline logo. At the gate, she pulled me into a hug that smelled like vanilla and pine needles. Tears welled up as she whispered, "First time flying anywhere fancy since our honeymoon." Riley tugged my sleeve, demanding to know if first class meant unlimited hot chocolate. I promised we'd find out. Boarding started with a polite chime. The agent scanned us through and Riley bolted down the jet bridge like it was a racetrack. Keith followed at a jog, duffel bouncing against his hip. Lisa lingered, squeezing my hand one last time before stepping aboard. The cabin attendant greeted us with warm towels and orange juice in real glasses. Riley claimed the window pod, pressing her nose to the glass as the plane taxied. Keith stretched out across the aisle, boots off, looking 10 years younger. Takeoff pushed us back into buttery leather seats. Riley narrated every cloud formation while the flight map ticked toward Northern California. Lisa flipped through the menu: filet mignon, lobster risotto, then closed it with a satisfied sigh. Keith leaned over and clinked his plastic cup against mine. "To whatever this is," he said. I nodded, watching the Rockies rise below like jagged teeth. We touched down in Ontario just after noon. A black SUV waited curbside, driver holding a sign with my last name. Riley insisted on riding shotgun up front, bombarding the guy with questions about snow chains. The drive up the mountain twisted through pine tunnels, air growing sharper with every mile. Keith rolled the window down despite the chill, inhaling deep. Lisa snapped photos of passing cabins, buried roof deep. The cabin appeared at the end of a private drive, logs glowing amber in the afternoon sun, smoke curling from the chimney. The chef, a guy named Marco with a man bun, greeted us at the door carrying trays of mulled cider. Riley darted past him straight to the hot tub, steam fogging her glasses. Keith dropped the bags in the foyer and whistled at the vaulted ceilings. Lisa ran her hand along the quartz kitchen island, eyes shining like she'd walked into a magazine spread. Marco gave a quick tour: master suite with a fireplace, bunk room for Riley, decked in plaid, game room with a pool table. The deck overlooked the slopes, chairlifts crawling like ants in the distance. Keith stepped outside, boots crunching fresh powder, and called back, "This beats any hotel I've ever seen." Riley begged to test the hot tub immediately. Lisa laughed and started unpacking groceries we'd never need. Marco had stocked the fridge with prime rib champagne and a tower of cupcakes for the countdown. That first evening, we soaked until our fingers pruned, city lights twinkling far below. Riley floated on a noodle, recounting school drama between splashes. Keith cracked open a beer and toasted the mountains. Lisa leaned her head on my shoulder, voice soft. "You didn't have to do this." I shrugged. "Wanted to." The snow kept falling, silent and thick, blanketing every old hurt for the night. Riley's zooming down the bunny slope when my phone starts vibrating off the hook. I fish it out of my jacket pocket, snowflakes melting on the screen. A TikTok notification glows. My nephew Mason posted 20 minutes ago. The video opens on their rental in Aspen, long wooden table laden with prime rib, mom dishing mashed potatoes, dad carving. Connor raises a glass. Brooke laughs at something off camera. The camera pans slowly to an empty chair at the end, pillow plumped like someone just left. Text overlay flashes, family New Year's, one seat forever empty. Mason's voiceover whispers, "Guess who ditched us for a fancy cabin?" He zooms on the vacant spot, adds a sad violin filter, then cuts to black. #guess family drama, missing sister. I tap play again. The view counter climbs in real time, 50,100, 500,000. Comments flood strangers, tagging friends. This you emojis of crying faces, popcorn gifs. Someone stitches it with their own empty chair holiday. By the time Riley tumbles into a snowbank giggling, the video hits 800,000. Connor's name lights up first. Missed call, missed call, missed call. 19 in a row, each one rattling the speaker. I let the 20th ring out while Keith helps Riley brush off powder. Voicemail icon blinks. I press play on speaker volume low so only I hear. Connor's voice hisses through static. You're making us look bad. Take it down or explain yourself. No hello, no happy new year. He hangs up, abrupt, like I'm a client who missed deadline. I scroll the comments under Mason's post. Valerie's profile picture pops near the top, professional headshot blazer and pearl earrings. Her reply sits pinned, classic attention grab. Some people can't stand not being center stage. Thumbs up reactions pile under it, mostly from Mom's Bridge Club friends. I screenshot before it vanishes, thumb hovering over block. Riley trots over, cheeks red from wind. Why's your phone angry? Keith glances at the screen, eyebrows knitting. I lock it and shove the thing in my pocket. Work stuff, I lie. She accepts, already eyeing the lift line for another run. Back at the cabin that night, Marco serves cocoa with peppermint schnapps for the adults. I sit on the deck steps, boots, crunching salt, watching the village lights twinkle below. The TikTok counter refreshes 1.1 million. A news alert pings local influencer roundup, features Mason's clip. Strangers debate in the replies, who's the mystery sister, why the empty chair gift or guilt trip. Connor calls again, while I'm toweling Riley's hair. I decline, but the voicemail follows instantly. Same clipped tone, delete your posts or we're done talking. I don't have posts. Mason does. I forward the audio to Keith without context. He listens in the kitchen, jaw tight, then deletes it. Kid 16. He'll learn is all he says. Valerie doubles down at midnight. Another comment longer, always playing victim. We offered to include her years ago. Lies stack like kindling. I type a reply, delete, type again. Keith appears behind me, hand on my shoulder. Not worth the data, he mutters. I close the app. The video crests 1.2 million by the time fireworks bloom over the lake. Riley oozes from the hot tub, sparks reflecting in her eyes. I lean against the railing, phone, finally silent. Mason added a part 2 slow motion of the empty chair with text, still waiting. Views keep climbing. Connor's contact photo stares from my recent calls list, 19 red mist badges like accusations. Valerie's comment garners its own thread, ants chiming in with prayer hands. Keith brings out sparklers for Riley. She writes her name in light loops, swirling gold. I hold one too, tracing a quick circle before it fizzles. The TikTok algorithm pushes the drama to For You pages across the country. Strangers duet stitch react. My name trends locally without ever being spoken. Inside, Marco clears plates. I check one last time, 1.2 million, exactly 36 hours on the dot. Connor's final voicemail lands as I set the phone face down. This is on you. I power off completely, screen going black against the fireplace glow. Riley begs for one more sparkler. Keith lights it and we step back onto the deck as the new year ignites overhead. My inbox blew up before lunch, subject line screaming in bold, family matters. Urgent. Valerie's name sat in the sender field, HR copied like a corporate hit job. I clicked from the cabin's loft, Keith brewing coffee downstairs. The email unfolded in bullet points, 6-year-old me crying at my birthday because no one played with me. 8-year-old me refusing Connor a colored pencil during art class. She twisted every memory into proof I'd always been difficult, selfish, the reason holidays fractured. Closing line. We tried including you. Stop painting us as villains. HR's auto-reply thanked her for bringing concerns forward. I forwarded it to my personal account, hands shaking over the trackpad. Connor's contact flashed next incoming call. I hit speaker and accept. Valerie told me about the email he started without greeting. I cut in calm, voice steady. Let's review the record. 16 Caribbean cruise, no ticket. 17 Vegas suite, max capacity. 18 Hawaii condo, cousins only. 19 Park City Lodge. I rattled off 14 years, dates, and destinations crisp from memory. Connor interrupted halfway. That's ancient history. I kept going. Miami Beach House, Alaska cruise again, Napa Vineyard tour. He groaned loud enough to echo. You're obsessed. I finished the list. Silence stretched then. Click. He hung up. Keith climbed the stairs with 2 mugs, steam curling. I spun the laptop so he could read. He scrolled, slow eyebrows climbing. This is scapegoating 101, he said, setting coffee beside me. They need a villain to stay heroes. Rewrite history, control the narrative. He pointed at the pencil story. You were 8. He wanted the red one mid-project. Classic kid stuff. Lisa called from below about hot chocolate refills. Keith closed the lid gentle. Don't reply from work email. Ever. I opened a new tab, drafted a response in notes facts. Only no emotion. Deleted it. Drafted again, attached old photos of empty airline seats with my name on waitlists. Deleted. Keith watched without comment, sipping black coffee. Riley burst in wearing pajamas printed with rockets demanding we build a fort. Distraction arrived perfect. Valerie followed up an hour later, another email, this one to my personal address. Subject, let's talk like adults. Body, 3 paragraphs blaming my independent streak for family tension, ending with an invite to clear the air over Zoom after the holiday. I showed Keith. He snorted. Translation, control the call record at edit clips. He advised mute no video, but I declined the link entirely. Connor texted direct email was too much. Call me. I ignored. He tried again. Val's stressed. Cut her slack. I typed 14 years of slack. Done. Sent before regret hit. His reply bubble appeared, vanished, appeared. Finally, you're burning bridges. I powered the phone to airplane mode. Keith pulled ingredients for sandwiches, turkey, avocado, sourdough. Fuel, first fight. Later, he declared. Riley dragged blankets for the fort, commanding pillow placement. We constructed a tunnel system across the living room, flashlight beams dancing on log walls. Valerie's email sat unanswered in my inbox, HR flag glowing yellow. Afternoon sun slanted through windows as Riley napped inside the fort. Keith and I sat on the hearth fire, crackling low. He broke silence. They'll escalate. Expect Dad next. I nodded, already bracing. He added, wood sparks rising. Your story, your rules now. I reopened the laptop, composed a single line to HR, personal family matter, no workplace impact. Hit send. Valerie's Zoom invite auto-declined. Connor's texts stacked unread. Keith handed me a fresh mug. One battle at a time. Evening settled quiet outside the fort walls. Riley stirred, requesting stories about dragons. I spun one about a princess who built her own castle far from the kingdom that forgot her. Keith listened, eyes soft in firelight. The email thread cooled, but the air hummed with unfinished business. First day back after the holiday, Dad waited in the lobby like a storm cloud in khakis. He stood near the reception desk, clutching a handwritten New Year's card in a red envelope. The security guard eyed him from the corner, badge scanner idle. I stepped off the elevator at 8, sharp, coffee in hand, and locked eyes across the marble floor. Dad lifted the card. We need to talk. Coworkers streamed past, laptops under arms, pretending not to stare. I approached slow. This is my office. He ignored, thrusting the envelope forward. Inside, a pre-printed apology letter addressed to the family, space for my signature at the bottom. Sign it. Post it on the family group. End this nonsense. His voice carried to the potted ficus. The receptionist Jenna picked up her phone. Security to front desk. Dad didn't flinch. You embarrassed your mother. Connor's stressed at work. Valerie's HR flagged your behavior. I scanned the letter bullet points mirroring Valerie's email. My pattern of exclusion flipped to victimhood. I'm not signing. Dad raised volume. Public apology or we're done. Jenna repeated the call, firmer. 2 guards appeared, radios crackling. Sir, step outside. Dad planted feet. This is between daughter and father. One guard took his elbow, gentle but firm. Dad resisted, card fluttering to the floor. I picked it up, tore it in half, let pieces drift into the trash. He followed me to the elevator's, voice echoing. You'll regret this. Doors closed on his face. Upstairs, my team whispered at cubicles. Someone live-tweeted the lobby showdown from the mezzanine. HR emailed report any further contact. I forwarded the torn card photo. 20 minutes later, Keith strode through the glass door's work boots, tracking melted snow. He flashed his visitor badge, nodded at Jenna. Checking on my niece. She buzzed him up. He arrived at my desk with a toolbox and a rolled sleeping bag. Figured you'd need backup. He reviewed lobby footage on the guard's tablet. Dad's entrance, time-stamped exit escorted. Keith printed stills, stapled them. Evidence if he returns. My boss poked his head out. Offered the conference room for privacy. Keith declined, set up on the lobby sofa instead. Visible deterrent. Lunch break, he microwaved leftovers from home Lisa's lasagna. Coworkers brought cookies, curious but polite. Keith accepted, chatted about carburetors. By 5, the office emptied. He unrolled the sleeping bag across the couch pillow from his truck. Night shift starts now. I worked late, screens glowing. Keith dozed, upright, boots still on. At 9, Dad texted, saw your uncle. This isn't over. I showed Keith. He grunted, adjusted position. Security rotated every hour, waving familiar. Midnight, the building quieted to humming vents. Keith brewed instant coffee in the break room, offered me a mug. Your dad always needed an audience. I sipped, bitter and strong. He continued. Let him tire himself out. 2 a.m. A janitor vacuumed nearby. Keith stirred, checked doors. My phone stayed silent except work Slack. He settled back, snoring soft within minutes. I finished a client deck, saved shutdown. Dawn crept through blinds. Keith folded the bag, neat toolbox in hand. Shift over. Call if he shows. Jenna arrived with donuts, high-fived him on exit. Dad never reappeared. The torn card pieces sat in evidence folder. HR closed the ticket. Keith's truck rumbled away, taillights fading into rush hour. New Year's Eve smells like prime rib roasting in the backyard pit. Keith flipped the slab over glowing coals, juices hissing into flame. Snow muffled the neighborhood, only our laughter cutting through. Riley arranged graham crackers on a metal tray, marshmallows speared on sticks. Lisa adjusted the portable fire ring, sparks dancing upward like tiny fireworks. I layered chocolate squares, waiting for the melt. Riley handed me a stick. Your turn. I toasted, slow golden brown, blooming. She smashed hers between crackers, goo stringing to her chin. Keith chuckled, wiping it with a napkin. Lisa demonstrated the perfect twist, marshmallow pull without burn. We devoured 3 rounds each, fingers, sticky breath fogging. Lisa grabbed sleds from the garage. Night run before countdown. The hill behind the house sloped gentle under street lamp glow. She pushed me first, board scraping packed snow. Wind whipped my scarf as I shot down Riley, chasing on her belly. Keith timed us with his phone stopwatch, declaring ties. We hauled back up, breathless, cheeks numb. Inside the oven, timer dinged for sides, roasted potatoes, green beans, almondine. Keith carved the rib at the table, pink center glistening. Riley set places with paper crowns from crackers. Lisa poured sparkling cider for her champagne flutes for adults. We ate family-style plates, passing clockwise. 11:55. My phone buzzed on the counter. Mom's profile picture, a throwback family portrait. Post at 11:59. Some kids trade blood for bonuses. Happy New Year to the loyal. No tag, but the subtext aimed sharp. I refreshed. Comments rolled in fast. Cousin Mark. She earned every penny. Aunt Sue proud of her independence. Second cousin Lena blood doesn't buy love. 68 in 10 minutes, hearts and prayers stacking. Riley peeked over my shoulder. Who's mad? Lisa took the phone. Gentle silenced it. Keith carved another slice, slid it onto my plate. Fuel for the new year. We ignored the screen, focused on seconds. 11:59. Keith dimmed lights. Riley counted down from 10, voice echoing off walls. At 0, she yanked the string on Party Popper's confetti, exploding gold and silver. Lisa hugged me tight, whispering, "Welcome to the real celebration." Keith filled flutes to the rim. He raised his high. "To the family we build." We clinked bubbles, tickling noses. Riley demanded a sip, got a thimbleful, grimaced at the fizz. Outside, neighbors launched real fireworks, booms rumbling distant. We stepped onto the porch, coats zipped. Riley pointed at a chrysanthemum, burst colors reflecting in her eyes. Keith's arm draped my shoulders solid. Lisa snapped a photo on her phone. No post, just for us. Back inside, we played board games. Riley dominated Monopoly with ruthless hotels. Keith bankrupted first, dramatic groan. Lisa brewed cocoa with extra whipped cream. I licked the spoon, clean tasting childhood without the baggage. 1 a.m. Riley conked on the couch, crown crooked. Keith carried her to bed, tucking blankets. Lisa washed dishes, humming oldies. I dried stacking plates neat. She bumped my hip. "Stay as long as you need." I nodded, throat thick. 2 a.m. Keith stoked the fire one last time. We sat on the rug, flames low. He spoke quiet. "Your mom's post will fade. Ours won't." I leaned against the couch, exhaustion settling sweet. Confetti glittered on the carpet like leftover stars. 3 a.m. Lisa brought blankets. We dozed in shifts, fire crackling soft. Riley murmured in her sleep about sled races. Keith checked locks once, then settled. The house breathed steady around us. Morning light filtered gray through curtains. Keith started coffee aroma, pulling me awake. Riley demanded pancakes shaped like rockets. Lisa flipped batter syrup, pooling. We ate at the table, littered with Popper remnants, crowns reclaimed. Mom's post hit 80 comments overnight, distant noise. Our plates were full, laughter louder. Keith refilled my mug. "Year starts now." I smiled, real for the first time in weeks. The family I chose filled every corner of the room. Come spring, the fallout hit hard and fast. Connor's quarterly review landed in March. His boss forwarded Mason's TikTok during the meeting, 1.8 million views, by then reposted on company Slack by a junior rep. The empty chair clip played on the projector. Connor's sales numbers dipped from distraction. Bonus slashed 50%. He texted me a screenshot of the email, professionalism expected. I left it on read. Valerie's freelance gig evaporated next. A major client, national retailer, Googled her name after contract renewal. Valerie's work email leaked in a Reddit thread dissecting the drama. Screenshots of her victim bullets circulated. Client pulled the campaign, citing brand alignment concerns. She called crying, blamed me for ruining her reputation. I hung up after 30 seconds. My promotion arrived the same week. HR slid the offer across the conference table. Creative director, 30% raise, corner office with downtown view. I signed without negotiation, pen steady. The team threw an impromptu happy hour, champagne in plastic cups, cake with edible glitter. Keith sent a text, "Knew you'd climb." Lisa added a photo of Riley holding a sign, "Big sis boss." I unpacked in the new space Monday morning. Framed the first-class boarding pass from Big Bear, hung sunflowers from graduation. Clients flooded my inbox, referrals from the tech win that started the bonus. Revenue projections doubled. Connor tried outreach in April. Voicemail from a blocked number, need advice on job hunt. I deleted. Valerie posted a vague status about toxic relatives, comments disabled after backlash. Mom unfriended half the extended family who sided with me. Keith hosted a promotion barbecue in May. Riley grilled corn in her tiny apron. Lisa baked a sheet cake, iced director level, unlocked. We ate under string lights, no drama, no empty chairs. The lesson crystallized over ribs. Family earns your seat at the table even if the dog gets one first.